Yeah, Friday! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you may be listening, thanks for making me part of your day. This is episode 230 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. And before I get started today, I just want to remind you guys right now, if you are thinking about starting a healthy life journey here, right now is the best time to do it. If you're considering joining WW because you listen to the show, 60% discount still going on. In the description below in this podcast, you will find the link. It'll take you directly to the website where you will get your 60% discount. There is one catch. You got to sign up for 10 months. But who doesn't want to save 60% for 10 months if you're going to do this anyway, right? So the idea, you click on the description, click on the link, sign up, 60% off for 10 months. It is a great gauge of how much success. If you don't really pay attention to results for the 10 months and you just start to make habitual changes that would increase your probability of success. If you adopt habits that will bring success, think about where your life would be at the end of the 10 months. And think about the kind of confidence you would have if at the end of that 10 months you saw some great success and you created some great habits along the way. I mean, it is a great stepping stone. 10 months is a great stepping stone, and it gives you a good amount of time to say, hey, let me give this my all. Because like I say all the time, if you give 100% of your effort with 97% accuracy, you could stand with 100% faith that Jesus will provide the other 3% of what you're lacking in regards to this health journey. But you got to give 100% of your effort. If you're not accurate with what you do, not a problem. You got to make consistency, and that will create the success you are looking for. Now, if you decide to join and you're looking for a workshop, let me tell you about Coach Sophie F. She's a great coach. In where I spend my Saturday mornings is with Coach Sophie F. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a virtual, so you don't even leave you could be in your living room, you could be in your bed, whatever you're doing. You could just join and relax and be a part of a group. And that group of individuals in that Saturday morning workshop is a great group. They're all serious. They're all doing what they need to do to really change their lives. And they are extremely supportive. So if you are looking for a workshop to join, come in, Coach Sophie F., 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday mornings. That's where I am. That's where you'll find me. And make sure you let Coach Sophie know that you're there because you heard about me. You heard about her on the Ranting Weight Watcher. So enough talk. Let's get into this. Journey updates. All right. Weigh-in this week was April 26, 2025. Current weight, 222.4 pounds. That is a total loss of 2.6 pounds. Pounds remaining to get to my goal is 26.8 pounds. My work stats, and the week that my work stats go from is April 20th, 2025 to April 26th, 2025. A total step count of 102,282. That's an average steps per day of 14,612 steps per day. Total miles walked in that same time period, 43.5 miles total. That's an average miles per day of about 6.25 miles per day. Now, so last week I talked to you guys about fasting and how the idea of fasting for multiple days at a time is very appealing to me because ever since I got diagnosed, I am always looking for alternative healing, right? Because it's very easy to buy into what big pharma is selling, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something that's going to last a lifetime without all of the extra side effects, right? And that's what I've been about ever since I got the diagnosis. I have been about building the kind of health that makes it so I never need a physician. That's my ultimate goal here. Building the kind of health that makes it so I never have to see a physician. And if I have to see a physician, it's going to be something absolutely serious. And even now, when this fasting comes into play, I'm hoping to eliminate a physician in the name of what can be created with fasting. A lot of people might not think that's possible. I'm not here to do what people think is possible. I'm here to do what is possible, period. And I'm either going to succeed or fail. So after doing some thought and really, I follow a couple people on Instagram that are talking about fasting and stuff like that. So I asked some questions, general things about, does someone who's fasting water only, do you still take supplements? I mean, there were so many questions I had about this because I take a lot of supplements, right? And so the general answer that I got was, you could take them, you could not take them. That's really up to you. But when I think about the times I have taken them with nothing in my stomach, there are certain vitamins in there that I take early morning with nothing in my stomach. And then there are certain vitamins in there that I take after my first meal. So maybe I could take the ones in the beginning, but not the ones, say, midday. It's really up to me in the end, right? So I sat for a few days here since the last episode, and I decided that I'm going to try this. And so just like everything else, I want to talk to you guys about my plan. I like to think out loud. I like to broadcast essentially how I plan to do this, okay? So the idea, first of all, what is considered my fast here, right? It's going to be a water-only fast. This is not going to be an intermittent fast where, some people do the intermittent fasting thing where you're eating for so many hours of the day and then you're not eating anything for so many hours of the day, right? And people's hour ranges they're all different. My goal is being autophagy. When I did my research, it seems to be that in general, like some of the lowest numbers I saw when autophagy starts is as low as 17 hours. But the overwhelming majority of the people said that it was somewhere at the between 24 and 48 hour mark is when autophagy begins. I know that I can't do 48 hours. So I have to start small, right? And just like I tell you guys, it has to start with small, achievable goals, right? So that's what I'm going to kind of go over here today. Small, achievable goal to create a water-only fast. The first goal is, because I don't fast at all right now, right? So the first goal is going to be a 24-hour water-only fast. So essentially, I will eat dinner one night, and then I will not eat until breakfast the day after the next day, right? So, for instance, when you guys listen to this on Friday, I will have already attempted my first fast. My first fast is scheduled for May 1st. That's Thursday. So on Wednesday night, I will eat dinner. I will not eat at all on Thursday. The moment I break fast will be Friday morning at breakfast. That is the current plan. I will either succeed or fail at this. Whatever happens, happens. So, but this is only the first attempt, right? I'm going to essentially do this once a week for the next 8 weeks, right? And so at the end of this 8-week span, so phase 1, again, like I said, starts on May 1st. At the end of this all, if I succeed more than I fail, right? So that's, if it's 1 fast a week, that's 8 weeks, that's 8 fasts, right? If I succeed 5 times, then overall it's a success, and I will move on to phase 2. If it's anything less than 5, if I break even or if I'm less than 4, I will repeat phase 1. So that's the goal. 8 weeks, 1 time a week. If I don't succeed for at least 5 of the 8 weeks, I will stay with 1 time a week for the next 8 weeks. We're going to repeat it because there's no sense moving on to phase 2 if I couldn't manage to be successful at phase 1. So that is and again, water only, no coffee, no just water, and essentially that's it for that 24-hour time frame. It will be different days every week, right? So it's just because it's Thursday this week doesn't mean next week it's going to be Thursday. It's all going to depend on my work schedule. I don't want to do a water fast on the same day that I'm training employees at my job. I want to have my full concentration on what I'm doing, and I don't want anything anything to be stressed as to how I'm teaching people or anything like that, and add on top of that the stress of attempting to do a water only fast. So when you hear me on Friday, I will have either succeeded or failed attempting a water only fast for Thursday. There's not really anything to beat myself up over this. There's nothing but benefits to receive from this if I could achieve it. So the short-term goal, 1 time a week for the next 8 weeks, right? To make it 24 hours on any particular day of the week. And the real goal is to have it be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Those I feel like will be ideal days for success. And the reason I say that is just as important as someone who decides they're going to do a water-only fast, the moment they break that fast is just as important as them accomplishing that fast. So if you break that fast and you go into eating some very sketchy things, you're going to do more damage than good, right? But if you go back in with a good plan of what you're going to eat, then you're going to do it right. So I'm choosing Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday because the day after any one of those days is so routine that I don't even think twice. This is what I eat on Tuesday. This is what I eat on Wednesday. This is what I eat on kind of thing like that. You know what I mean? So if it ends up being a Tuesday, I will eat what I always eat on Wednesday and be all right. If it ends up being Thursday, I will eat what I always eat Friday morning and it will be all right. Either way, I won't be breaking fast improperly. Now, I told you guys all the time that my weekends are relaxed. This is why I don't want my fast to be on a Friday, because I don't want to break fast on a Saturday and have it be compromised. Because I could continue at least other benefits like such as ketosis or whatever if I pick the right kind of meal to break my fast with. But I don't want to cause more harm than good by choosing a meal that will create all kinds of other problems. And I tend to be way relaxed on Saturdays and relaxed on Sundays as well. So I don't want my fast to be on Friday for that reason. I want to make all the choices I need to make to create a level of success that, I just want to make sure that I give myself all the tools necessary to succeed in a way that may not actually feel possible, right? When you think about, remember last week when I was talking about the receiving the diagnosis and how it came so timely. And if I had received my diagnosis in the beginning of my journey in, say, 2019, it would have been nearly impossible to make the moves I made to live my life without medication, because I was very much dependent on processed foods. And you can't just walk away from stuff like that. It has to be almost a detox period, right? And this is why I say one of the most important things you'll do is turn away from processed food and get yourself into whole foods, as close to single ingredient as you possibly can get. When you are eating one thing and that thing is one ingredient, you are in great shape. Even if that one thing is less than 5 ingredients, you are in great, considering that there are things out there with 30 and 40 ingredients and it's one thing. This is what I mean. Eliminating all that nonsense, changing your body back to your body instead of a laboratory experiment, because so many of the foods we eat turn our body into a laboratory experiment, and it is designed so that you never feel satisfied. I think that attempting to fast with these kind of things holding you, processed foods, if processed foods are a regular part of your life, I don't think I would be successful at all. I don't think there's a chance. That it would just make my fight so much worse to be dependent on processed food right now. And the same thing with my diagnosis. If I received that diagnosis and had my dependency on processed food that I had at any of those other times, I would be on immunosuppressant drugs right now and dependent on them. And I'd probably be talking about how I don't succeed because I'm always on steroids and, God knows whatever other excuses I could come up with. But instead, I made choices that changed my life for the good before I ever received the diagnosis. And that's kind of the goal of training myself to fast here, because that's kind of like what I'm doing here. I'm training myself to fast. And I used a couple of weeks ago the story in the Bible of the women who had the oil and they were waiting for the bridegroom, the oil for their lanterns. And you had a number of them that had the oil and another of them that didn't have it. And so they were kind of lazy and like, oh yeah, I'll do it whenever I do it, kind of a thing. And then the bridegroom show up and they're not ready. And then they're asking their friends, can you help me out? Friends are like, no, I won't have enough for myself if I give you any, right? So then they're trying to scramble at the last second to attempt to buy the oil that they should have had all along. They should have been prepared for. That's what the fast is for to me, right? If I receive some serious diagnosis in my future, and I'm not saying I have one coming, I'm saying that if I ever get one, I want to be trained enough to basically do what I want to do before I ever listen to a physician. This is my way. I don't just take a physician's word and say, okay, you're God, I'm going to listen to everything you say. That's not the way I do things. Every action I took with the diagnosis I already received is a perfect example of that. Everything was to figure out, how do I get out of this? Had I not made those moves to get away from processed food, I can't honestly say to you, I definitely would not be where I am right now if I had not done that first. So if I'm going to be able to say get some kind of major diagnosis and say, okay, I'm doing a 10-day water-only fast. If I got that diagnosis today, I'm not doing a 10-day water-only fast. I'm not there. I can't do it. But if I start training now when there's no reason to train to get there, then if the day ever comes, I'm prepared, right? I remember there was some analogy about for every 100-yard dash. A runner has to run this many yards, right? He's training for this many miles just to run a marathon of this many miles, right? So it's never I'm running a 10-mile marathon or whatever, and you just do it once, right? You're running that over and over and over again. And if you're not at that 10-mile mark, you're building up to it first. So in the course of your training, you're running so much more miles than you actually do for the event. So it ends up being this astronomically high amount to attempt to get there, right? It's the same idea. Somebody who has never ran is not going to go join a marathon tomorrow. If I'm going to be able to tell a doctor, no, I'm going to do this my way. Thank you for the diagnosis, though. Have a great one. I have to be able to train myself ahead of time. So phase 1 starts May 1st, 2025. And the phase 1 details is water-only fast for 24 hours, once a week for 8 weeks. If I succeed, phase 2 begins essentially the week of June 26th, right? Phase 2 will be the same, hold the 1 day, and then add a day, right? So it'll be a 48-hour fast for the next 8 weeks. And if I succeed more than I fail, I'll go on to phase 3, and you could guess the first major goal is to do a 3-day fast. And the reason for that 3-day fast is that 3 days of water-only fasting is a complete reset of the immune system. As I told you guys before, the first 24 hours, your body switches into autophagy, and there is repair on a cellular level happening at that time. From 24 to 48 hours, there's autophagy set in, and your body is examining itself, eliminating bad cells, regenerating. And then when you get to that 3-day mark, that 3rd day is stem cell regeneration. And there's people that are out there getting stem cell treatments when in reality, if they train themselves, they can generate stem cells for free. All of these things will help me in a situation, right? I will keep building this. So right now, the goal is 1. My big goal right now is to get to 3. Once I get to 3, the next goal is going to be to get to 10. To get to the point where I can fast for 10 straight days, water only, and however long it takes, it takes. I'm probably going to fail 1,000 times in this process. But however long it takes, it takes. Just because you fail at something doesn't mean you shouldn't keep trying. Okay? I mean, God knows how many times I failed at attempting to lose weight. And it was when I stopped caring about failing is when things started to work. When I only cared about checking the box, did I track today? Check. Did I move today? Check. Did I weigh and measure today? Check. Today was a good day. It doesn't matter. The result doesn't matter because I could stand on that I did these behaviors. And those were the most important behaviors. Tracking, weighing and measuring my food, and getting out and moving. Those were the most important behaviors to establish consistency in. And all of my focus went into creating consistency in that thing. That's the goal here. Create consistency in fasting. Maybe I achieve a new level of discipline that I never once ever dreamt of. Maybe the final hold that any kind of food has on my body is broken in this moment. Maybe whatever remnants of the autoimmune condition there are gone at the end of me attempting this. There is also another benefit of doing water-only fasting for multiple days, and that is parasite detox. The one thing no physicians, there's no studies. There's not many studies of anything out there right now. Like, the people I follow mention it here and there, and that's the only reason why it kind of dawned on me of what this could be. But they're saying that there are certain kinds of cancers that, when examined further, are actually parasites. And this is why there is a growing knowledge that something like ivermectin is working for people that have cancer. Whether or not that is, I don't know. I haven't tried it. I don't have cancer. But what I'm saying is, there are people out there that had cancer and they attempted to take ivermectin and are cancer-free. They didn't go through any of the treatments that Western medicine talks about when in regards to cancer. I'm not telling you guys to never go to your doctor, to never do what they say. I'm telling you, I won't do it. I'm stubborn like that. That's what I do. If I die, it's going to be at my own hand of attempting to do things the best that I can do, rather than just listening to someone and having them kill me instead. That's just the way I think. That's who I am. I'm not saying everybody in this world should be like me. I'm just saying that's how I am. Ultimate goal, 10-day water fast. I think I laid it out pretty well. Phase 1 starts May 1st. Phase 2, if all goes right, starts June 26th. And I'm going by Thursdays here, right? So June 26th would be a Thursday, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a Thursday, depending on what work I have going on that week. But the week of June 26th will be the next phase. The third phase would begin August, or the week of August 21st, if all goes according to plan. If all goes according to plan, in August, I will be attempting 3-day water fasts. Does it mean I'll succeed? No. We'll see what happens. There's so much benefit when I think about what happens to the body during a fast. The autophagy thing, the stem cell generation thing. I mean, it's so intriguing and so interesting to me. And it's never talked about. I am always after knowledge that no one is freely giving. When I have to earn what I'm learning, I hold on to that more than when it's just free out there to everyone. There are too many motives in this world for the medical profession to keep people sick. There are way too many motives. And I'm going to do whatever I can to limit my time spent in those places and to ever need them. And I am training for that for the next however long it takes. I guess what I'd like you to take from all this is, I think I just laid it out pretty well here. This is what it looks like in my world to do something in small, achievable goals. It's also what it looks like that during those small, achievable goals, what it looks like to expect failure and learn from it and move on from it. It doesn't define you because you need to fail in order to succeed. This is one of the concepts that people don't grasp. And if people never fail, I would say that they're not trying. They're not doing what they could do. They could do more if they aren't failing. They just found a comfortable spot and they're staying there and they know they can achieve that comfort and that's all there is to it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. All I'm saying is if you never fail, you're not really trying to do something. The more normal failure becomes in your life, the more desensitized you are to it. If it's something that affects you, even me saying the word failure, if you feel a certain kind of way because I'm using the word that I will fail in this, that should tell you alone right there that there's something up, and you need to start making it so this word doesn't have such a hold over your life. Because, I mean, I've said it on this podcast before, if you've been listening to me any amount of time, failure is the teacher that leads you to success. They are brothers. They come together. You don't invite success to the party and without failure showing up too. They are brothers. They come together. You need failure to achieve success. But this is what it looks like. Small, achievable goals. You either succeed or fail. And if you fail, you try again. If there's something to learn from the failure, learn it. Otherwise, it's garbage, throw it out. That's all there is to it. On Thursday, I will attempt my first. I will either succeed or fail. If I fail, on to the next week, we'll give it another shot. If there's anything to learn from that failure, what to avoid, stay away from here, go do something else here, whatever, I'll analyze it and move forward. It is looking at where you messed up with the most logical pair of eyes. You're just looking at data. How do I fix this? Right? If a repairman comes in your house and he comes in emotional and aggravated, and meanwhile your hot water heater is just spewing water all over the house, right? Or just some pipe, whatever. His water is just shooting all over the house, and this guy's just panicking and running all over the place and not knowing what to do. I mean, what is not happening? The pipe is not getting fixed, right? But you need somebody with a clear head to say, what's the issue? How can I stop the water first before I can fix the issue? It's just taking a logical look at what went wrong, making some changes going forward. This is the way. It really is. I work hard to be an example for how, when I tell you guys to do things a certain way, I work hard to be an example of what I tell you to do. I don't try to tell you guys to do anything I would not do myself. I don't tell you guys to do anything I haven't already done myself. The reason I tell you the things that I tell you is because I attempted it. It's that simple. I don't just say, you know what you got to do, and it doesn't apply to me. I never got along with people like that. These rules are for thee and not for me. I never got along with that person. I'm way too defiant and way too stubborn to get along with people like that. I do everything my own way. You could take or leave what I have learned in the process. I could just set the table and put the meal out there. Whether or not you want to take a bite and see where I'm coming from, that's entirely up to you. But this is what it looks like. Details. I gave you how many details here of how this is going to work. I planned for failure in those details. I told you that if I don't get at least 5 out of 8 weeks successfully, I'm repeating the phase. That is a plan for failure. I have to get 5. If I get 4 or less, phase 1 is repeated. Simple as that. There's no sense in moving on to 2 days if I can't achieve 1 day the majority of the time. This is detailed planning. And when I tell you to make small, achievable goals, this is what this looks like. I have this all mapped out in my own head. What I will do, how I will do it, when I will do it, where I will do it, what will happen when I mess up, what will I do next It's all mapped out. The next 24 weeks of my life is planned. Starting May 1st. Does that make sense? The next 24 weeks of my life is planned. Starting May 1st. That's all you can do. You can plan, be detailed, because being vague, you're never going to achieve anything. You're never going to know whether you succeeded or failed, and you're never going to know what to learn from anything because you didn't really set any terms. And part of people like to be vague because they don't like the idea that they would actually see that they failed. To me, that's sad. When the possibility of failure is hindering someone, that's, to me, is sad. And I'm telling you as someone who used to be hindered by it, right? And now I don't care. It's just an experiment. All of this really is an attempt at something that it seems impossible. In reality, it seems impossible. But in the end, I know it's possible. Because if Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, then 10 days is possible. Right? I mean, if we are Christian and we are believing the words in that book, because people like to say they're Christian, but they don't necessarily believe the words in the book. They pick and choose whatever they feel, and they move on from it. But if I'm going to take that book literally, and the story in that book shows that someone did this for 40 days and 40 nights while he was being tempted for whatever else, why can't I achieve 10 days? And if I could achieve 10 days, then say I get some diagnosis, and instead of listening to a physician say, this is the medication we're going to put you on, I say, you know what? First, I'm going to do a 10-day fast, and then we're going to come back and test this again. What if I improve everything with a 10-day fast? If stem cell growth starts in 72 hours, what can happen with an extra 7 days on top of that? Imagine that. Imagine what kind of healing can happen. And I got plenty of food pre-eaten here. That's like people like, oh, you're going to starve yourself. No, there's no starving. I got plenty of calories I'm already carrying. Plenty of calories. There is so much here to go around. And if I'm going to really think about this, if I really break this down in my brain here, how many weeks ago was it when I was talking to you guys? I want to say it was back in 2024, where I felt disappointed because I really felt that with this kind of weight loss, 170 some odd pounds, whatever it is, I thought that the lymphedema in my body would have changed. I really thought that. And I was very disappointed in the fact that it didn't really change at all. The size went down a little bit. Okay, fine. But the problem is still there. I could do certain things, compression socks and all these things to make it so that the lymphedema doesn't go all the way down to the ankle and all these things, right? I could do all that. But what if achieving a 10-day fast would regenerate, get cellular regeneration, get stem cell growth? What if somewhere in that process, however lymphedema works, is repaired? Whatever causes lymphedema. What if? You're not going to hear a physician ever say that because literally I'm doing this and it's costing no money. And that's not the way the medical system is designed. The medical system is designed to have you pay to die slower than you would have otherwise. That's what the medical system is designed. And then at the end of it all, when you still die, that you die broke and with nothing to leave to the next generation. That's the idea. That's the model of the current medical system in this country. And not just in this country, in many countries. You know what's crazy is we can sit here, eat pizza, pasta, all kinds of things, and we end up this bloated mess. But people in Italy eat pizza, pasta, and all these things, and they're thin. And you know what the difference is? Ingredients. And I sit here and I tell you to eat foods as close to single ingredient as possible. Everything over there is being made properly. Everything over here is being made cheap and to make it last on a shelf for 20 plus years. You don't believe me? Look at all of the illnesses that are common that they are telling you that is, whether it's genetic or it's just your age, all of those things, all of those illnesses. The majority of those illnesses didn't even exist if you go back 70, 80, 100 years. They didn't exist. But you know what? Almost in perfect timing with the introduction of convenience, processed food, quick eating, fast food, all of those things getting designed. We are living busier lives. We're overworked. We're underpaid. We can only afford cheap food, and we need it fast because we're way too busy to actually live a normal life, I should say. And since that introduction of that type of lifestyle, that's where all of the things that are now commonplace, oh, this is genetic, your mom had high blood pressure, your father had high blood pressure, and that's why you have high blood pressure. Right. It has nothing to do with the majority of food that we eat isn't actually even food. It's just turning you into some laboratory experiment. And your body goes into defense mode with some of these foods that go down your throat. You are enjoying the flavor of them so much, and yet your body is preparing for war. That's what it looks like when people say, I have a lot of inflammation. That's what that means. Your body is at war with what you're putting in it. Right? I eat this food and it makes me feel bloated. Your body, you're not even full in some cases. Your body is just preparing for a fight. So parts of your body, organs, internal organs getting swollen in order to prepare for a fight. Prepare for a fight. How insane is that? We turn our bodies into laboratory experiments and we enjoy the flavor as we do it. And then we wonder, why me, when the diagnoses come. And when people like me stand here and say, there's another way, there's got to be another way here, people would look at that and say, that's extreme. That's not necessary. I don't know what else to say about that. All I know is where there's a will, there's a way. I know I'm capable, and I already decided I'm willing. You could take or leave what I said here today. What you should value the most here is the map I gave you of what it really looks like to create small, achievable goals in your life. Now, if you are not in this point where you're even thinking about fasting, maybe you can use this method, this model, in another way. Whatever that is, use the model and create your way to get to the best version of you. This isn't about losing weight. I tell you this so much that I'm sounding repetitive every week. This is about you becoming the greatest version of yourself? What good is all the work we do if all we do at the end of it is still struggle, the same struggle as the day we started? There are people sitting in workshops that have been battling the same battles, and they sound like it's their first day and they've been here for 10 plus years. There's no growth. There's no evolution. There is more to all of this than dropping a number on a scale and then maintaining it. There's more. There's so much more. And if we ever want to have full control of our own situation, of our own lives, to become the greatest version of ourselves, all of this has to be defeated. Everything that we can hold as a crutch has to be totally owned. It has to be totally controlled, and it has to be totally mastered. Nothing can be the master of you. You have to be the master of your own domain. And simple things like food items cannot rule your life. Simple things like what you do with your emotions can't rule your life. You can't sit here and do the same things over and over and over again. Never make any changes. You can't expect to live how you live today and change your life. That's not how it works. It works by actually doing hard things that change your life. It's that simple. That simple. Do what is easy and your life will be hard. But do what is hard and your life will be easy. It's easy to say, extremely hard to do. But in the end, it's totally worth it. You're totally worth it. Every bit of effort you're going to put into making yourself great is totally worth it. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.